Psychiatric service dogs have been in use for many years, but without the name psychiatric service dog. It's a relatively new concept to have dogs that aren't guide dogs for the blind, but it has taken off, and there are so many out there, and they are out helping their families, and they're even in homes helping. They're not always out in the public, so I can't say how many there are, but there are lots. There are so many ways that service dogs can help people with mental health issues. I'd say the main important one is it helps prevent isolation. People with mental health issues, including PTSD, often isolate. It's a coping mechanism, right? So the dog gets them out. People speak to them more because they say to them, you know, what's your dog's name, or, you know, whatever. So it helps them get out there. It gives them some responsibility, and they have a buddy that goes everywhere. If there's a place that triggers memory or stress, like say going for blood work, the dog is there to help that person through that. With our PTSD people, the dog can help when there's a flashback. Say they have a nightmare at night, the dog can help get them through that. And it just gives them a lot of hope, just getting out there and doing stuff they normally wouldn't be able to do on their own. In the Kingston area, there are quite a few people using psychiatric service dogs. Some are owner trained, some are agency trained. At the moment, our organization has 10 out on, working in their team environment, so with their handler. Some of them are autism dogs, but there's also the mental health side too, right? So we have PTSD veterans and civilians that have our dogs out in the community. Now again, we do Trenton to Ottawa, so it's not all in the Kingston area. But at the moment there are 10 of ours out working, and then there's another 22 out in training that you would see with our fosters.
So the music's gonna go on. You're gonna walk around the outside. When the music stops, you're gonna put your dog in a sit or a down stay. In front of you, and then you're going to sit. You're going to, so you're not touching the leash. Right, like that. Yes. So you don't have the leash in your hand when they're in the stay. Okay? If your dog gets out of the stay, then you got to go fix it. You might lose your chair, especially with Rob here. This is like one of his favorite games.
Body check you.
All right, is everybody good? You guys can choose which direction you go around. All right. Try not to let your dogs pull if you can help it. Yeah, we live with a dog, right? So now
I have some wonderful success stories, and my very favorite success story is about a young lady who has PTSD, and she applied for one of our dogs, and our co-founder and I, Elizabeth, we went out there and did her home visit, and she spent, for the last 5 years, has been unable to leave her home without her husband. We took one of the service dogs with us to do our home visit, and we actually were planning on matching her with that dog. So we left the house and we crossed the street and popped the dog in the back of the van. We'd said our goodbyes. And this individual came out to say goodbye to the dog and realized that for the first time in 5 years, she crossed the street alone to come and see the dog. We looked back, her husband's at the front door crying because all of a sudden the dog has helped her get out of the house. And just recently, now she's been matched for over a year now, recently she took a trip to Labrador all by herself with her service dog.
And you can actually train a service dog yourself. You just have to have the time, the patience, and the willpower to do it. It was my second appointment with a new case manager, and we decided to go to the Humane Society kind of to cheer me up and kind of to see if there were possible candidates. But we didn't really expect to find an appropriate service dog at the Humane Society. I was starting to actually get a little stressed out, and I went over to Ash and just, I felt this instant, there was a feeling, I was like drawn to him. And when I finally like made real contact with him, like I kind of knelt down to his level, and I just looked him in the eyes, and it was like, I felt so much emotion in there and so much personality, and so I was intrigued. It was like there was this draw to him that I was just very immediately close to him in a way. I went in, no expectations, and then I came out with an application in, and that night I was approved for him, and that was kind of when I would say like my life changed in that moment. It was like, wow. Before my service dog, it was, I would have a lot of experiences where I was calling the crisis line, and I was just reaching out to people. I was destroying relationships, really. But now I have a constant relationship where I don't have to worry as much as people relationships. And the biggest thing I think is he's always there. And it's not like, oh, you have to come over again, like you have to be here again. It's like, no, he's living with me. Like I said, we're a team, and that's huge. As I first got him, it was like there was more stress than there was kind of benefits. But even through the stressful times that I experienced at the beginning and some of the stressful times I experience now, he always, it's the look in his eyes that he gives me. It's like he's concerned about me, and he genuinely cares, and he knows when I'm upset, and when I cry or when I go into a panic attack, he's signaled, and he knows something's up with Mom. I gotta go see and go help. And I actually have a command called help, because there are times where I don't exhibit any kind of physical symptoms, but internally I'm kind of freaking out. And he will eventually get to the point where he can detect that by himself. But at this point, I have a help command where I say, Ash, help. And he comes and he runs up and he kind of gives me the hug, where he'll come up and he'll put his weight on me and he'll kind of just sit with me and relax. And that hug, that I call it, it has the same effect as a regular hug, where it kind of releases happy hormones, and you're just like, it's just a very uplifting experience. And there are times where he knows destructive behaviors towards myself, like picking, or if I get really bad and I want to self-harm, he knows that he's got to interrupt me. So he'll come and he'll just lick me and just go crazy all over me, put his body weight down on me, and he'll totally distract me from what I'm doing. At this point, he's still very untrained, so he kind of only gets part of that at the moment. And when we're out in public, it's a huge help, because when I'm out and about, I'm small, and my experience with abuse has left me with an understanding that I deserve anything bad to happen to me. So I don't feel safe when I'm out and about. And when I have Ash with me, I don't feel that same unease walking down the street, like having to look constantly around me to see if someone's following me or to see if someone is gonna attack me or anything like that, because I know if someone were to do that, Ash would react. And so I've got this companion that's with me everywhere, and just even when he's not working and he's just around me, it's like when he enters the room, there's like a sense of calm. And the things he does, the silly things he does, the little puppy things he does, those are all very distracting, calming. I also have scoliosis, so when I have high pain days, sometimes I can barely walk. And I've taught him a support command, so he just kind of walks with me and I can lean my body weight on him. And he's kind of the perfect size for me. He's rather small. And I'm actually also going to be building a harness for that. He kind of helps, he's that one for everything kind of pill that I would say. He's the medicine for everything that I deal with. I'd say the best thing about having a service dog would be the fact that truly I'm never alone, and he's a friend that I can always rely on. He's not a human, so he's not gonna turn his back on me and desert me and get angry with me when I constantly call on him. I've had situations with romantic relationships where I feel too needy, and with Ash, with a service dog, I can never feel too needy because he's always giving and he's always ready to give. And having a companion that is ready to give, ready to be your friend, and just always a happy face, always with you, that's the most uplifting thing, to have this constant happy energy around me. I'd say the worst thing about having a service animal is probably the amount of work and stress that it can give at times. There are very big stressful situations that come with training the service dog yourself. When I have to train him myself, I have a fear of when I go out that someone will see me and feel like I'm not legitimate enough, or they'll see the way I'm training and then they'll call me out on it and they're like, oh, you're not even a part of an organization. That's never happened, but I'm constantly scared of that. The moment where I realized that he really is a big help, and it was ironic, I was having a panic attack over his situation. I was, my boyfriend was here and we were talking about his training and all of the things that were unknown at the time, and I was so stressed out, and this panic attack came on very strongly and suddenly, and my boyfriend was trying to talk to me, trying to calm me down, and it wasn't working, and I was just really out of control in a very bad panic attack. My boyfriend went to hug me, and I guess that just triggered Ash, because he hopped up on the bed and he blocked me from my boyfriend, and he just got right on top of me, and Ash, he began licking my face, and the way he did it, he was like, he moved in and he blocked so that he was in between my boyfriend and myself, but also on top of me at the same time, so kind of more on my side. And in this panic attack, I was crying, but I had to laugh. When he did this and hopped up on me and I saw my boyfriend go like, what? It was so hilarious that it completely snapped me out of the panic attack. When I was in that panic attack state, I wasn't even able to talk. I couldn't even say what was bothering me. I couldn't get anything out other than sobs and tears. And then after Ash had done this, it was like suddenly I regained my ability to speak and my ability to reason. It was like he just kind of brought me right back to reality. At this point in his training, he comes to and he responds to distress, I'd say 80 to 90% of the time, and that will only increase over time. And it just requires more work, more training. And I expect that within 6 months to a year, he'll be on it every time. And I just have to get better at getting him to help every time. The set of classes that I'm putting him through, it's just around $500, and then his care, his food, regular toys and stuff like that. I spend about $70 a month, $75 a month on him. And then there are the extra kind of one-time expenses like grooming equipment if you do your own grooming. the vest, if you want a harness, if you want badges to put on the vest, those are all extra costs. Disability provides a small amount of assistance for people who get dogs from organizations, but if you have your own service dog, you're kind of on your own with financial help. Generally, the average is if you get a puppy, it can take about 6 months to do your first puppy training, and then once you've got it puppy trained and you start your service dog training, it can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. With Ash and myself, I haven't actually been working with him as much as maybe somebody else with a service dog. It's been kind of maybe half an hour to an hour here, like every day. All organizations, they own the dog and it's kind of yours. It lives with you, but it's owned by the organization. And that's the difference with Ash, is he is my dog, like he's always been my dog. And so with an organization, maybe the dog might get injured or sick and they would say, okay, he's done service, so we'll take him back. But with my own personal training, it's my decision. I can choose when he stops service and if he should continue. And it is dependent all totally on the dog as well. So for Ash, it'll depend on how he ages and if he has problems that interrupt his ability to do the job, then it will be my decision to kind of take him out of training. I would definitely recommend a service dog to people. The only thing that I would say to service dog or people who are interested in service dogs is you have got to be prepared for the responsibility. They are still an animal. They are still, they have a life and they have a brain and they have emotions, and you still have to care for them and be able to do that. And that's kind of how he helps as well, is he forces me to have a regular routine. And that would be my only suggestion, is I recommend service dog for anyone who would find them beneficial, but just be prepared for that extra responsibility, I would say. I like to think it was fate that brought us together. My faith says it was God that brought us together.